All right, so good evening, everybody, and welcome to our Tuesday night Shine Bright Redox Talks. My name is Janene Babauskis, and tonight is all about sharing a breakthrough that can change your life. And we're going to be talking about redox signaling molecules and the difference these healing signaling molecules that underpin the health and repair of our cells have made in the life of our guest tonight. So a company by the name of ASEA has brought to market the only 3 redox signaling products on the planet. So there's a liquid redox supplement and an outside-in application of a gel and a serum. And I'm truly grateful that Cheryl Penrose reached out to me 5 years ago and invited me to have a look at this breakthrough technology because it changed my life. So 5 years ago, I found myself in a foreign place with some minor health challenges. In my background, I'm a health practitioner. I knew what to do. But the nutrition and the strategies that worked weren't working anymore. And I really didn't understand what was going on because I had the answers. And on an emotional level, I felt lost and without purpose. I was really burnt out, so I was low in energy. And I was financially well-being challenged as well. So I was under a lot of stress and worried. So I started on the Redox gel because back then in Australia, we only had the gel when it was first released here. And within 2 to 6 weeks, all of my health challenges and my low energy resolved. And 4 months later, my financial well-being was on track. And it occurred to me that everybody needs to know about this science breakthrough. So I'm truly grateful to be here tonight sharing this fabulous breakthrough with you. So tonight we have a special guest with us who will be sharing her redox experience. But before we get started, I invite you to think about the following questions. So, do you have a health challenge? Maybe not. Or perhaps you know of somebody with a health challenge that needs help. It seems that everybody you speak to have people in their life that are suffering right now. Perhaps you'd like to reduce the visible signs of aging. That'd be great. Or do you want more energy to do what you love instead of heading for the couch when you get home at night? You've actually got the energy, you feel vibrant when you get home, you want to do things. Are you looking for improved athletic or physical performance? I mean, for me, that's not going to be exercise or going to the gym. But for some it is. You see people out there riding their bikes on the weekend and swimming and doing all sorts of wonderful, challenging things. For me, I want to know that I can go up the farm and put on my gumboots and run up a hill and move rocks and shovel dirt all weekend if I want to. So that's kind of what my physical performance looks like. It's different for everyone. Maybe you want time or money freedom for a better lifestyle. Well, to really live well, we need 2 basic things. We need a body that can do whatever we ask it to do and enough money for the freedom to make choices in our life. And to have that body or well-being you want, you might be exercising, you might have changed or even modified your diet, you might be taking nutritional supplements, and you might be doing everything you can think of, or you might be doing none of that at all. But frustratingly, no matter what you do, as you age, your cells respond less and less effectively to all of these strategies. Your cells naturally begin to break down, producing less energy, taking longer to repair, and look, sometimes not repairing at all. But what if your cells could just be more efficient? Your exercise, your nutrition, your supplementation, everything else you did could be more effective. You could be healthier longer with less effort. How would that be? Well, several years ago, scientists made a groundbreaking discovery. They identified molecules your body produces inside every cell, every nanosecond of every day that helps your cells repair and regenerate. Once discovered, there was years of research and development went into figuring out how to stabilize these molecules outside of the body so that they could be used to top up your redox levels, which deplete through the decades. So the result of all of this is a molecular technology that helps your cells function better. And when your cells function better, everything works better, and everything works like they did a decade before. So any steps you're taking to improve your health become more effective. Your nutritional supplementation works better, you feel better, you look better, you sleep better, and you have more energy. So let's hear from our special guest tonight. It's Jeanette Mc Donald and her redox experience. And I'm just going to put us on speaker view. There we go. And Jeanette, thank you so much for joining us tonight and sharing your amazing story, which is from life-saving to life-changing. And just to put people in the picture, I just want to talk a little bit about life before your health challenge and your diagnosis in May 2015. So, you know, when we were chatting about it, you said life was pretty normal. You know, sometimes your energy was up and down a bit. Sometimes you felt a bit flat, but generally you felt fine, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, some acute symptoms started, which had you in front of a doctor 3 days later, and basically 3 weeks later had you on the operating table.
Absolutely. It was, what would I say? It was shocking, surprising, everything you could imagine, and particularly sitting in a doctor's surgery, hearing that you had 2 clusters of rogue cells in your bowel in a setting of inflammation, and the story that I received that morning was not very promising, and it required immediate surgery, of course.
Yes.
Life-saving surgery, and that life-saving surgery happened, and it would take 2/3 of my bowel in the process.
Right. And did you know that prior to going into surgery, or was that the news you woke up to after the surgery?
No, I knew about a week before the surgery that because there were 2 clusters now, that one was in my ascending colon and the other one they discovered through a second colonoscopy was actually in my transverse colon. So that meant 2/3 had to go.
Right. So I know you've got a bit of a PowerPoint to share with us tonight because you've got incredible pictures.
Yes, I do.
Of your journey. So do you want to get your...
Yeah, I might share my PowerPoint right now.
Yep, that sounds good.
I'll just get it set up and then we'll go.
There we go. That looks good.
That looks good. Can everyone see it? Yes?
Yep, I can see it, yeah.
So I ended up in the Mater Private Hospital here in Brisbane in June 2015. And my story really starts there and it brings it up to now. So this is my health journey really over the last 4 years. So here I was, I ended up in hospital to have that life-saving surgery. And prior to going into the hospital, of course, I prepared myself as best I could. And you'll probably see just over here, I had an affirmation behind my bed in the hospital. Every hand that touches my body is a healing hand and I'm safe. I hadn't been into hospital since I was 20 years of age. So, you know, it was 35 years since I'd been in hospital. So this was pretty dramatic for me. I ended up 2 periods of time there. I was in the ICU. I ended up with an electrolyte imbalance, which resulted in refeeding syndrome. That means I couldn't eat. So I had bags of food being pumped into me. And I had a nasal gastric tube, as you can see here, because, you know, I had so much bile and I was vomiting constantly and not able to eat. So a lot went on. I went in to have that surgery, but a lot went on in the process. So it was 19 days there. I was very ill. All my levels had dropped. And, you know, I think you said to me the other night, Janene, You seem to have a smile on your face, but I might have had a smile on my face in these pictures, but behind it, there was a lot of dramatic things taking place.
Absolutely. On all levels, physical, mental,
Yeah.
spiritual. Yeah, it'd be quite shocking, you know.
Absolutely. So I think probably the other thing that I would say is, apart from having 2/3 of my bowel taken, it was not able to be joined. So when I woke up after this life-saving surgery, I woke up as an ileostomate. So I actually had a bag that would, take my waste matter on the right side of my body.
Yep, permanently attached. My
That's
goodness.
permanently attached, yeah.
And of course, you know, just to recap here, there's no redox signaling molecules yet involved.
Not yet. No, I hadn't heard about them at this point, because this is 2015.
Yeah, so let's move into life after surgery, the next few months.
Yeah, so the next thing, I woke up to an oncologist telling me that I would need to have chemical treatment. So the next, I came out of hospital in July. I had day surgery to insert a portacath here in my chest, which is a spot that pumps chemical treatment in. So I was having chemical treatment here in the hospital, and of course you can see one little slip and I was having pretty bad bruising and things like this. Yeah. During my time in the hospital, and I would leave the hospital each fortnight and I would head home with a little portacath pump attached to me. So it was a slow release pump for a couple of days, and then I would have to go to the hospital and have that removed. So this went on for 6 months.
6 months, yeah. That's a lot of toxicity in the body, for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so let's move.
6 months.
Yeah, 6
surgery
months.
Is done, and some friends bought me the champion balloon. But after the surgery, I ended up with pretty curly, after the surgery and the chemical treatment, pretty curly hair there. And then it's this.
So how are you feeling at this stage? Because you'd be pretty...
Well, I'll just come back here. I was pretty exhausted. Having had the diagnosis back in the May, major abdominal surgery, 6 months of chemo, you can just imagine I'd lost 12 kilos in weight.
Yeah.
I lost that in the hospital with the refeeding syndrome. I was pretty tired, but I was also emotionally exhausted.
Yeah.
It wasn't just physically, it was on an emotional level. I was pretty worn out, back and forth to hospitals and lots of checkups, blood work, all constant blood work.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's pretty well, and you were probably in a pretty worn out space when Redox appeared on the scene. So
yes,
move to your Redox introduction.
Yeah, so enter Redox. Heard through a practitioner about some gel.
Yep.
Started using the gel, and I didn't have pain really. I had a major cell breakdown inside my body. I used the Redox and on my face and on my body wherever I could, and people just started saying, gosh, you look better, you look really well now, because I had looked quite drawn, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's improvement in my skin and overall complexion.
Yes, yeah. And were you using the Renew 28 on your body?
I was mostly using it on my face and my neck and on the lymph glands. Yes. And, of course, I was using it on my stoma.
Yes.
Because if you're an ileostomate, you end up with a stoma, which is part of the bowel on the exterior of your body or on the outside of your body. And because you're having to wear a bag or a pouch over the top of it, that's an area that can get very, very irritated.
Yeah.
So I was using the gel in that way. And then, as you can see, in May 2016, I began using the ASEA liquid.
Yes. Yeah. Beautiful. What sort of what amounts did you start on, Jeanette?
I just started off I started off straight away on just 2 cups a day for a couple of days, and then I went up to 4 cups a day for a few more days. And then I carried on between about 4 and 6 cups.
4 and 6 cups. So that was like
240 to 360, somewhere just depending on how I was coping.
Yeah. And how long did it take before you noticed a difference?
I noticed a difference dramatically within a month. My blood work was starting to show signs of improvement, but in 3 months, my blood work went from being in the red to being in the black.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
fairly dramatic.
Yeah, and that would have matched how you were feeling?
Yes, I started to improve. People could see the difference in me. I had a skip in my step. I was just coping better with everything. I looked better. I started to look healthier.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I felt like I had more vitality.
Yes, yes. So, of course, I just want to flag now, when you had that surgery, you were told that your life would be like that for the rest of your life. There's no way your bowel could be rejoined, because even the bowel that was left was pretty unhealthy. So from a
the bowel that was left was not viable.
Not viable. So from a Western medicine perspective, that means there can never be a joining up of the bowel. So
you have to take something fairly dramatic, but in that setting, there was certainly the opinions from all my medical team that this is how it would be.
Yep, that this was basically for the rest of your life. Yep, you would be living life. And of course, along with that were all sorts of other dramatic changes in your life. You
Absolutely.
know, what you could eat, your social settings, all those things.
There was a big shift around diet, Janene, because one of the things with having a bag or a pouch attached, you have to watch everything you eat. You certainly have to watch drinks that are fizzy. You have to watch, you can't just go and eat things like broccoli and cauliflower and all the normal sorts of greens, because they create a lot of gas, and, you know, that can lead to causing the bag to become unviable, and then that leads to an explosive situation, if you know what I mean. So you always have to be watching for toilets.
Exactly. So life revolves around where the toilets are and what you're eating and what you're drinking. And of course, then, you know, like what we take for granted, putting on bathers and going to the beach or the swimming pool, and you live in a hot climate, that all of a sudden is not on the table anymore.
And really, for some time after my surgery, my initial surgery, I was not really in a state where I could even travel, you know, just because things were a bit unviable. And I mean, I did end up traveling. I did a long trip with the bag, and that was to Salt Lake City when I was really well. But, you know, that still involves some manoeuvring.
Exactly. All right. So let's move to the next slide.
Okay. So what happens is this. My bowel becomes viable during the process, and during the process I put it to my surgeon and my oncologist and my gastroenterologist, is there any way forward? And because my blood work was so dramatically improved, and they said that they couldn't believe the changes in me, and in this bowel that was left, when it was looked at, it now only had microscopic inflammation compared to being totally unviable. And they couldn't understand how that happened, even though they were aware that I was taking the Redox. They didn't really believe it. So I just continued forward, and I said, this is what I'm taking. You can see all my results. And they said, well, if we're going to do anything, we have to do it now. So that was the date I went in for surgery was the 19th of December, 2017, with the view that I might be in there till the 29th or so. They said, you may be in there 10 days. And I said, I don't care, I'll have Christmas in there. That's fine.
Yeah.
So I underwent the impossible surgery.
Now, did you increase your Redox liquid prior to the surgery? And if so, how long and how much?
For a week before the surgery, I increased it to half a bottle a day.
Yep. As preparation. Yep. Beautiful.
Half a bottle at least a day, just saturating me, preparing me for surgery, giving me the best possible. Some days I'd have a little more than that, but in general, around about that half a bottle.
That's incredible. And you were discharged 5 days later, unheard of.
Absolutely. So I went in with the pouch on. So this is how I went in, and we wrote on it because thank goodness I did have a process to move through.
Yes.
And this is me the morning after surgery. This is what they call the bullet hole. I was told it's an open wound, it can't be stitched. It looks like all the skin has been gathered in around the wound. Yeah. And in fact, it's supposed to heal so that remains as it is, like a button on a cushion that sucks it in. It's supposed to sort of sit like that for the rest of my life. I'll have this bit of an indentation.
Yeah.
And you can see this is, fairly major surgery. At the same time, they took the portacath out of my collarbone area. So I had the portacath taken out of there, and I've had this major abdominal surgery to, put me all back together again, like Humpty Dumpty.
Yeah. Gosh.
So it was about a 4.5, 5 hour surgery this time round.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll
just show you the next slide.
Let's go to the next one.
So the next slide is the process of healing, and this is within a month. So the next thing that happened within probably about 2 weeks, I think this is about the 4th of January. 4th of January, it starts to scab over. Now, I've been told by the medicos it'll be 6 weeks before the wound closes, so before it scabs. So this is it. This is probably 2.5 weeks. See how the scab is already coming into place?
Yep.
And it's sucking in. And during this period of time, even to get to this point, I was not only putting the Renew on it, but I was actually squeezing the tube of Renew on it. So the Renew is actually going in the hole.
Right. Okay.
So you see this hole here?
Yep.
The Renew was actually going inside that hole. Wow. And sometimes serum was going there as well.
Extraordinary.
Rightio. Yeah. And then you can see here, as the healing process goes on, you can see the drying out. You can see the drying of the skin as the skin begins to knit back together all around my scars.
And again, that's in 3 weeks. That's a significant...
This is about 3, I think this is about perhaps the 8th of January. I went in on the 19th, and this is the 8th of January.
Yeah, and all that pucker, that bucket.
Yeah, all the puckering that was it was supposed to be completely puckered, and you can see that the puckering is disappearing. And then this here, at about a month. That's a close-up of that scar. At about, I think this is somewhere before the 16th, just before the 16th of January.
That's extraordinary, extraordinary.
So in a month, and you can see how this, which looked pretty ugly before, and I've got that pulled a little bit. It's all just starting to knit.
Yep. Now,
and at that stage, I was taking half a bottle of Acia after hospital as well for the first week.
Yeah, so you maintain that for the first.
Yeah, and I was drinking it in hospital, but not as much.
No. And then when you came out of hospital, what did you reduce it down to?
Well, when I came out of hospital, I kept going with half a bottle for the first 4 days, and then back down to about 6 cups.
And was there any comments at this stage by the doctors?
Oh, yes. Yes. Well, first of all, the gastroenterologist visited me at day 4 in the hospital, and I'm sitting up in a chair with my legs crossed, and I had reasonably normal bowel function, and she just started crying. She said, "You're my superstar." She said, "I never see this with patients who've had this kind of setting before."
Yeah.
I mostly come in and they're still on the bed. They're so fatigued because they've had to go to the toilet so many times. Like my bowel surgeon said, you could have this operation now that we're going ahead with it because you want it, but you could be on the toilet 30 times a day, and then we may have to completely do the whole thing again.
Yeah. So that was kind of warning for you, and that has not been the case, right?
No. No. So this is the healing just over the month of January. So in the four weeks or so.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is it today.
Oh my God.
So this is my scar this morning.
Yep.
That's this morning's close-up of the scar. I've still got that there because that's the first operation, and they had to go back in there for the second operation.
So
it's
that's
cut open twice.
Yeah.
But it's actually not too bad.
No, and that will even improve more. Are you still applying gel to that?
Every day, all over my belly.
Oh.
But this, look at this, no puckering. This is it. And then I've just got a close-up.
Yeah, that's extraordinary, Jeanette. Thank you so much for sharing that. It really is phenomenal. It's so, I just want to cry.
And so this, I mean, I went in to have life-saving surgery in June 2015, and in December 2017, it's actually life-altering surgery.
Life-altering.
Different surgery.
So tell us a little bit about, what does life look like for you now? And also, how do you feel like in terms of your well-being and your energy, given what you've been through? Yeah.
Well, I'll just quickly go to the last slide because this is my life now. I've called it happy days because I'm back swimming, walking, travelling without exit plans and escape hatches to deal with bags and bowel issues.
Yes.
The journey's been life-changing. So this is the travel. This is back in the pool in Vanuatu, in Mexico last year. Yep. This is in Dallas. So these are just, this is just where I'm back to now. So I'm back to a full life. So I'll just hop off the share, hey? But that's me now. Like, that's my life now. It's very different to how it was prior.
Extraordinary. And of course, other things have changed in your life. You're out there sharing the SIA. You're an incredible ambassador for the product, and I know you've contributed to a lot of people and made a massive difference, life-changing experiences for those people that you've touched their lives well. So
I think, Janene, probably one thing that I would say is very early on in the piece when I watched the Genesis video, and I had that incredible feeling that I have to just stick with this right through, because if I have any chance of having a normal life, and if I have any chance of never having rogue cells ever again, then I have to repair at a cellular level. Yeah. And I realised in watching the Genesis and hearing Virtus that this was my only real chance on the planet. I could take as much nutrition as I wanted, but it was all coming out through the bag. It wasn't staying in my body. It was useless. No. So realistically, the only thing, and I knew the moment I started taking the Redox liquid, I could feel it moving in my body in the same way that I could feel the chemical treatment moving in my body. When I was taking the chemical treatment at the hospital, I was doing mantras all day. Yep. Because I was saying this stuff that I'm taking, I'm taking it for my highest good. I know it's poison, but it will not affect me. So I was doing all of that on a mental level, taking the chemical treatment, because the moment it entered my body, it was cold and I could feel it freezing my body from the inside out.
Yes.
And it was dangerous. When I take the ASEA, I drink it, and immediately I drink it, I have this experience in my body of my whole body just wanting it, like just really just going in, and I just go take it wherever it's needed, and it does.
Extraordinary. And you look amazing, and I've joined you in overseas trips and all sorts of things. You're out there living life to the fullest, and it's just been such a beautiful journey for me to get to know you as well.
So I think just
phenomenal. And
I was just going to say, and of course I'm an ambassador. I mean, I'm a product of the product, and a miracle has happened. So I'm in the process of, I can't thank Virtus and the founders enough for the change, for the regeneration of bowel tissue. That's really what it is. Without these molecules regenerating my bowel, I would not have been able to have that surgery that's put me back together and put me back in this place.
Yes. Oh, gosh, I'm so grateful. And I can see there are an enormous amount of comments there. Wow, Jeanette, just have a quick look at those. People are just so grateful for you sharing your story. It's an incredible story. And
the question there, Janene, is about the ASEA Via nutritionals.
Actually, yeah, good, because I meant to ask you whether you're taking those, and I'm sure you are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I am. I'm taking the Life Max in the morning because what I've been through, I need what the Life Max has to offer in terms of cellular structure. I'm taking the Source as a general overall great absorption of nutrients and so forth, and definitely Biome, but I'm not taking as much Biome as recommended. I have short bowel, so I have chosen to halve the amounts there.
Right, okay, and no challenges at all taking those? No, fantastic. So look, I just want to say at this stage,
Margot, I'm going to jump on and just say, because I've put the comment in there, but as an RN, I worked for bowel surgeons for 18 years. I've never heard a story like this. I've seen many people who've had bowel removed and a lot didn't survive. So it's an extraordinary story. And I'm meeting up with my former boss in a few weeks, so he'll be hearing this. Thank you so much for being there to grace us all with your remarkable story.
Great comment, Margot. Thank you so much. Yeah, Margot.
You can share the video, Margot. I've bared my abdomen now.
Look, I just want to say, before we say any more at this time, it's really important to acknowledge that ASEA products are not intended to diagnose, treat or cure any condition. They simply empower cellular communication, therefore cellular repair and function. So grateful, Jeanette, that you've dedicated your time tonight. You're an incredible woman, and I know everybody on the call tonight are really grateful for your share. And we're out of time. Otherwise, I was going to invite for questions. I'm just going to stop the recording.